just want everyone to be good. Where's Lisa? Is she good? Okay. I think, is this, everyone good? Microphone's working? All right, good. Okay. All right. Let her boyfriend do that, and she can bring her over.
Huh? Hold it? You hold it. If you can hold it.
Okay. Okay, good. Everyone, thank you so much for coming today. Another depressing press conference we're having. Right when I thought that this country losing Vanessa Guillen would be the last press conference I'd had about another soldier loss at Fort Hood. Today we're here to share some more depressing news that last night I got a phone call from the Army and from the police with my client Alina and Isabel Fernandes. On that call, they told us that they found Sergeant Elder Fernandes hanging from a tree near the railroad in Texas, away from his house. They don't know what happened, whether it was suicide or whether murder, but I'm going to tell you what they did to him, the blood on their hands, it's a form of murder. We had another soldier serving our country honorably, immigrants, another soldier from an immigrant family coming from Cape Verde to come serve the United States Army at Fort Hood, who too was sexually assaulted at Fort Hood, who did the right thing. Did the right thing. They always say you're supposed to report sexual assault, sexual harassment. They asked us a number of times, did Vanessa Guillen report sexual harassment? Look what happens when you report sexual harassment at Fort Hood. You get bullied, you get hazed, you get harassed, you turn up dead. This is not America. That base is toxic. Our soldiers are not safe. We need to protect our military. What is going on? How are we losing another soldier? It's despicable. I was on the phone with senators and congressmen yesterday, today, nonstop. I said I don't want an independent investigation or a special investigation or special anything. That's a Trojan horse. Do not give me anything special. We demand a congressional investigation immediately. Not another soldier. One too many. I have Vanessa Guillen's sisters behind me. They came into Tampa. I showed them our home, and unfortunately during dinner last night, I got the phone call. A call that I did not want to hear. A gruesome death. Another gruesome death. Because of Fort Hood. Because of that command. But more importantly, because the system needs reform. The military needs reform. We need to pass the Vanessa Guillen bill immediately. I did not think that Fort Hood would continue to have more soldiers being found dead or missing. But as the saying goes, a tiger does not change its stripes. We can't expect them to do the job that we're asking them to do. They have failed us. They have failed these soldiers' families. They have failed our country. We won't stop fighting for our soldiers. We will not stop fighting for our soldiers. They did not sign up to the Army to get sexually harassed and sexually assaulted. They signed up to serve our country. They're not dying from terrorism or ISIS. They're dying from sexual assault and sexual harassment when they report it. Because the system is broken. And we are not going to continue to allow our soldiers to go about dying on our own turf. This is so upsetting. When people tell me, hey, how about the Me Too movement? How's this happening with the Me Too movement? The Me Too movement did not impact our military. As you always hear, oh, the military doesn't have any rights. You sign away your rights when you join the military. No, you don't. You don't sign away your rights. You sign up to fight terrorism. You sign up to fight for our freedom. You don't sign up to terminate your rights. Sergeant First Class Richard Stayskool here is an example of this. He did not sign up his rights to have a right to file a claim for medical malpractice when it was not combat related. We got his bill passed last year. Now it's time to pass the Vanessa Guillen bill. It's time to give our soldiers the rights they deserve. Nothing less than the rights that they deserve, that we all have. Nothing more than we all have. But don't tell me because they put on a uniform every day, because they zipper that uniform, that they should be treated like second-class citizens, like they don't deserve to have the same rights that we all have, or that they're going to base and they're worried about if they report sexual harassment, that whether they will be in trouble or demoted. Why is that? Why are you re-victimizing the victims? Why can't they speak free? Why can't they be safe? We're here to say enough is enough. We will not let this happen to our soldiers. We are going to have a congressional investigation. We're going to have an independent investigation separate from the military. This has nothing to do with the DOD. This has nothing to do with the Army. We want a congressional investigation where no one's conflicted. It's not anyone's brother. It's not anyone's friend, colleague. It's not from anyone's unit. None of that. That's a conflict. That's a straight conflict. And we don't want any conflict when this investigation is done. Do you want to say something?
Good afternoon. My name is Lupe Guillen. I am Vanessa's youngest sister. And to start off, Elder Fernandes passed away yesterday. They found his body. Yet another soldier, the 13th soldier found dead at Fort Hood. 13 in less than 4 months. But then my sister was found dead and murdered on base, on a military base where you think everything's safe, but yet they don't keep their own soldiers safe. And all of this, Morales' death could have been prevented, Fernandes' death could have been prevented, Vanessa's death could have been prevented, but yet, where's the military change? Nowhere. Nowhere at all. If the bill, #I am Vanessa Guillen bill existed already, Vanessa could have been here alive next to me. Fernandes could have been with his family, but he's not. Why? Because the military does not care about their soldiers. And especially the Fort Hood leadership. They promise to respect every soldier, to ask about their welfare, to see if they're okay, to see if anything is wrong with their soldiers, to talk to them. But yet, didn't ask my sister if she was okay, didn't ask Fernandes if he was okay. And yet, people are asking, why didn't Vanessa report the sexual harassment? Why didn't she? Fernandes is an example that this not only happens to women, but to men. He's an example that if you speak up, if you report it, look what happens to you. You get harassed, you get touched inappropriately, sexually abused, mentally abused, and then your mental health gets destroyed. And then the military makes you seem suicidal. And then it took more than 3 months to find my sister. And yet, who found her? Tim Miller. Yet, who found Fernandes? Who was helping to search for Fernandes? Tim Miller. He's doing the job. Natalie's doing the job. I'm doing the job the military is supposed to do. Yet, not a word from the Secretary of the Army. Not a word from Major Scott Effelin. Not a word from anyone from their leadership. Not a single word. And yet, I remember Secretary of the Army at a press conference at Fort Hood. Yes, it's true. Fort Hood has the highest sexual harassment and assault. You clearly said it has the highest. Yet, where's the change? Where's the investigation? You're letting the same military investigate themselves? It's ridiculous. And it's a shame that this is happening on the U.S., on a military base. And yet, there hasn't been change. Almost 4 months and a half. And yet, myself, Mayra, Giovanna, and my mother, Gloria, does not know the truth. What actually happened to my sister? Because everyone has a mouth. Anyone can lie. And yet, I don't know the truth. And I have to keep living day after day, hiding the truth from my mom. Because she doesn't know how my sister was killed. And yet, Major General Scott Effelin, he says no sexual harassment was found on my sister's case. Yet, sexual harassment took the biggest play on my sister's death. And he still denies it. Why? Because Fort Hood leadership is toxic. Yet, if I'm outside working at a whatever store, if I'm not doing my job, they fire me, they remove me. Yet they're not doing the same thing with the leadership at Fort Hood. Why are they not treating each other equally? Why do they not remove Major Scott Effelin? I want him removed immediately because this is happening under his leadership. And yet, Mayra told me that they found Fernandes hanging up from a tree. We don't know if it's suicide. We don't know if someone set him up. But I can't even imagine the pain that his family is going through. The same pain that my family is going through. The same mom, Mama Guillen, and then Elder's mom. Then her aunt and my aunt. And then they're both soldiers. They both suffer sexual violence in any kind of way. And yet nothing has been done. And it clearly states that #I am Vanessa Guillen bill is needed now, not next week, not tomorrow, it's needed now. Because this bill can save lives. Believe it or not, it can save lives. Either you report it with the military, they don't listen to you. You don't report it, they don't listen to you. So you don't have a choice, you don't have an option than just to stay quiet and to feel shame of yourself, even though the shame is the aggressor. And I'm sick and tired of this happening over and over again. Just knowing that this happened to Vanessa, I thought this was going to stop. It didn't. More deaths are coming out. Why? What's the problem? What's going on? And yet, I'm frustrated, I am mad, I am sad, because how many more must die at Fort Hood for them to get held accountable, for a congressional investigation to happen? How many more must die? How many more? How many more have to be sexually harassed? Hoy estamos aquí, no más para Vanessa, pero para Fernandes y todas esas víctimas de acoso sexual. Porque ya estoy harta que sigan matando a esos soldados que ponen a su vida. ¿Y para qué? ¿Para que los maten aquí en América? ¿Aquí en una base militar? Si este bill ya existiera, el bill Yo Soy Vanessa Guillen, si existiera, esto podría ser preventido. Vanessa estuviera aquí al lado de mi vida. Fernández estuviera vivo con su familia, pero no está. Porque la militar no les importa. Y esto es un ejemplo que le puede pasar a las mujeres y a los hombres. Fernández fue acosado sexualmente, asaltado sexualmente, lo abusaron de su mentalidad y ahora, ayer, lo encontraron muerto. Y ese es un ejemplo, si lo reportas no hacen nada. Y Vanessa es un ejemplo que si no lo reportas, tampoco hace nada. Porque ese general Scott Effley, ese líder de Fort Hood, debería ser removido ahorita mismo. Porque esto está pasando bajo su comando y no está haciendo nada al respecto. Y el secretario de la militar, él dijo en una prensa de conferencia que Fort Hood tiene los casos más altos de acoso sexual. Y si tiene los casos más altos, ¿por qué no estás haciendo algo al respecto? Porque yo no he mirado cambios. Because moving Major General Scott Effley to El Paso is not a change. It's more chaos. Why will you be moving other people? Where's the victim? Fernandes. They're the ones needing help, and yet no one offered him that. No le ofrecieron ayuda. Vanessa, Fernandes, all those victims of sexual harassment are the ones needing help. And yet no one asked, are you okay? Do you need anything? No. Nadie les pregunta, ¿estás bien? ¿Necesitas ayuda? No, nadie pregunta nada. No les importa. ¿Qué más necesita el Congreso, los senadores, para que pasen el bill? How much deaths and victims does Congress and the Senate need for the hashtag I am Vanessa Guillen bill to be passed? How many more? How many more? Enough is enough. Basta ya. Y les quiero recordar que mamá Guillen, Gloria Guillen, la mamá de Vanessa, va a hablar este viernes en frente de la base Fort Hood. My mother, Gloria Guillen, Vanessa's mother, will speak Friday in Killeen, Texas, in front of Fort Hood Army Base. Because I can't even imagine what my mother is thinking right now. How many more must die? That's the question. And questions that Fernandes family has. Who sexually assaulted Fernandes? Who saw Fernandes the day he went missing? And then, who saw Vanessa the day that she went missing? Where was Vanessa the day she went missing? Who killed Vanessa? Yet all these simple questions, and none of them can be answered. And CID? Yet lies over lies. CID? Pura mentira tras mentira. Mienten y mienten, no te ayudan en nada. Tienen toda la tecnología y los materiales para investigar y encontrar a personas, pero no pueden encontrar a Fernandes ni a Vanessa. CID has all those materials, technology, resources, and they cannot do anything to find Vanessa, to find Fernandes. But yet we demand justice. Now, I demand justice for Vanessa Guillen, justice for Elder Fernandes, justice for all those soldiers, and the hashtag I am Vanessa Guillen bill to be passed now. Demando justicia por Vanessa Guillen, justicia por Elder Fernandes, justicia por todos esos soldados, y que pasen ese bill ya. Porque esto no puede seguir pasando. This cannot be happening again and again, the same story. Someone goes missing, suffers sexual violence, and then end up dead. And then families without answers. I want justice for all those soldiers, now.
I want to also bring up Sergeant First Class Richard Stayskull. Today Richard flew in from North Carolina. The Guillen family flew in from Houston, Texas. I just want you to know my background. I represent our military. I represent the soldiers, the men and women who serve proudly in our military. I am here to advocate for their voices. I'm here to advocate for their rights, and I will continue to fight for them. for each and every soldier that needs our help. It doesn't matter which state they're coming from, it doesn't matter which country they're coming from. This is what our job is, this is what our responsibility is. Not just as an individual, but as a country. We all need to speak for these guys and girls. We all need to come together. They're alone. They have no voice. And we have to give them a voice. We have to give them a face. We have to give them hope. Sergeant First Class Richard Stay-School, Green Beret, former Marine sniper, served our country, took a bullet for our country in the chest. And I'd love for him to say a few words too.
First of all, I just want to say thank you for everybody coming out here and listening to this very important message. You know, the best day, but the worst day of my life was the day that I met Natalie. You know, it took some terrible news, unfortunately, just like the Guillen family. But, you know, there's not a better person out there that could represent the military right now for everything that's going on, the changes that are needed. Our congressional leaders will look at this case and come together as a, you know, one congressional office and pass the bill the same as they helped pass the medical malpractice bill that gave soldiers more rights than they had before. So I hope that they'll listen to the message. I hope they'll put lots of thought into it. I think with the right time, the right discussions, and the right movement, I think today, now is the time for this bill to be passed as well. And it's nothing more than refining the military and moving it into a better direction. And I don't think that's anything more than anybody could ask for or want. And I don't think that's asking for a whole lot. And I believe our congressional delegates will see that. I have faith in them. But for right now, my condolences to the Guillen family. And you know, as long as they stand by Natalie and the rest of the service members that want to see change, I think it's going to happen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You know, these bills that we draft, they're about accountability. That's what it is. It's all about accountability. It's about protecting our soldiers, protecting their families, and making those who harmed our soldiers accountable. There should be no lack of accountability in any sector in the world. Private sector, military, business, everybody should be held accountable for what they do. We have to respect and love one another. We have to protect one another. We can't expect our military to protect us, but we're not going to protect them. The morale is low with our military, and they need us. They need our voices. They need our protections. This is the first time our country can actually stand up together on something, not a Republican, not a Democratic, not even bipartisan issue. It's a human issue. It's an American issue. And I was just very proud to have my clients fly to Tampa. This is my home state. This is where I live. This is my city. And unfortunately, I'm never here because I'm flying around the country trying to help soldiers and their families get through things. But I finally got a minute to be down here, and I flew them in. And unfortunately, last night as I was here, I got that phone call. I had to go to the bathroom of a restaurant. It was at Burns Restaurant, to be exact. I took them over. I wanted to give them a little getaway from their loss of their sister. And here I got Miss Fernandes screaming and crying, Natalie, Natalie, her and her sister crying, screaming. They found Elder. He's dead. And I can hear the screaming. And until this minute, I was shaking in the bathroom. I couldn't be there to hold them. And of course I had the Guillens with me. And I thought to myself, how's this happening again? What's happening? How's this happening? And Myra walked into the bathroom not knowing. And I said, get out of this bathroom, get out of the bathroom. I don't want her hearing this family screaming and crying, because it would be another PTSD for these kids to hear this, or hear moms cry. This can't happen. These kids, they can't handle this. These parents, we need to help them too. They're the ones who are losing their children. They're losing their children to sexual harassment and sexual assault. Enough is enough. It's time for accountability. It's time for change. It's time for reform. And we ask everybody to be part of this movement. This is a movement. This is a campaign. We are going to change history. We'll say never again will this happen, ever. And I want everyone, if you need anything, if you know anything, call me. Call me, I'm available. I want to help. We can't let this happen anymore. Our troops deserve better. Thank you.
Natalie,
You have questions?
Can you talk about how the bill would hold the military accountable?
Sure. The hashtag I am Vanessa Guillen bill would have it where a third-party agency would be taking in these calls. So suppose, God forbid, your sister is serving in our military and then all of a sudden she gets harassed or assaulted. Right now, currently the climate is you have to contact your same unit. You have to tell your unit. The same people you work with, the same people that know her assailant and her attacker. It doesn't provide any confidentiality or protections. The I am Vanessa Guillen bill is the opposite. It is an outside agency. They can call that agency and they will review it. They'll investigate it. Like, so Aaron Robinson, for example, he had a history of sexually harassing women. I got all these emails of women coming out telling me that they did this to him. If this agency existed, when Vanessa felt safe and confident calling this agency, they would have said, wait a second, this guy has done this before. We have several complaints about him. He's a repeat offender. He has to get out. He cannot serve anymore in uniform. So this agency will allow not only a database of any kind of assault or harassment with the person that does it, but also it will provide the victim a right to be heard, an independent investigation, not conflicted, not biased, and if just like the EEOC, a right to file a claim, file a lawsuit. You have a meritorious case, they should have removed that perpetrator, or you should never have been assaulted or harassed or raped while you're working, and it will give those victims not only more protections, but it will hold those accountable.
Natalie, can we ask you about how these men and women, they're ready to give their lives for this country, and yet they're being sexually assaulted? What kind of an effect does that have on them? It's got to be destructive.
That's correct. You know, these soldiers, they sign up, men and women, sign up to fight. They're taking bullets for our country, yet they're getting harassed and assaulted and raped while they're serving. And the worst part of it, even though you would think assault or rape is bad enough, it's the aftermath, the retaliation, the blackballing, the questioning someone's honesty and veracity. You know, for example, with Elder, when he reported this, he said that his harasser, assailant, had grabbed his buttocks in the supply room. Elder's 5'3", 130 pounds soaking wet. He's a tiny guy. It was not right for him to be groped or grabbed in the buttocks. He's there to serve. He was humiliated. He was embarrassed. He couldn't even tell his mom. He didn't want to tell anyone. He was afraid. He was shamed by this. But his roommate kept on telling him, you have to report this. Look what happened with Vanessa Guillen. You have to report this. He reports it, and what happens? Look at this. Look what's happened. Ever since then, they put him in a different unit. They bullied him, harassed him, hazed him, called him to work when he wasn't even supposed to be at work. Nighttime, come back to work. He said that they would just make him sit there for hours. They just wanted to destroy his spirit. Our military does not sign up to get destroyed and broken from sexual assault and rape and harassment. They sign up to take a bullet, not to be raped and not to be assaulted, and definitely not to be asked by the command whether it's true or not. Or said to Elder, well, it was just you two in a room. There was no witnesses, you know. Well, just because there's no witnesses doesn't mean it didn't happen, everyone. That's hurtful. It's already enough shame to disclose it, but then you're going to tell someone you don't believe them because there was no witnesses? What, do they need a notary public to be there? What is going on? We need not to only protect our victims, we need to believe them and let the process do its course to review the investigation. Right now, there is no investigation. It's a Mickey Mouse Club. They tell you, are you sure? Are you sure? That's what they ask them. Are you sure? You sure it happened? There's no witnesses. Then it's, okay, well, now you got to prove it. And then it's belittling the person. And then it's harassing the person. And then it's labeling them. Or you caused this to happen. Or you did this to yourself. It's insult to injury, and it's got to stop. There are that means we're or the girl who assaulted or harassed. That they have is that what one would say a false sense of security. And it's unfair because you're telling the victim that trust me. And if you don't trust me, well, what kind of brother or sister are you? We need reform, and we need real reform.
I know you already told the meeting the way they found him. Can you explain a little bit what they tell you exactly how they found Fernandes?
How they told the Fernandes family? Last night we got a phone call. It was around 8 or 9 o'clock, and they said that they wanted the family to come to the base, that they had an update on Elder. I wasn't sure how to act because I know with the Guillen family, every time we got called in, it was, you called us in to tell us you have nothing. That's what, and unfortunately I had to share this information with the Fernandes family, how there's always that, what's going on, why am I being called in? Well, they were in bed already. They were in bed, they were doing what they needed to do with their family, and I said, listen, if you want to go, she said, yeah, I'm not going to be able to sleep if I don't go. They said, however, we don't want to go to the base. We'll meet at the Killeen Police Department. They went to the Killeen Police Department. They said there were several people from the military there, and some with their dress uniforms on. They thought it was an intimidating factor. Even the detective said that. Why would you be wearing your uniform right now in this situation? They told us that they found Elder hanging from a tree near a railroad. It was a railroad employee that was walking by the railroad and saw a man hanging. They said it was high enough where it looked like he could have climbed the tree to hang himself. He was hanging with rope. He had a black t-shirt on. He had black gym pants on, black and orange sneakers. His backpack, his black backpack, which we've been looking for, was near him. He had his military ID in his pocket, and in his backpack he had his cell phone. He had soaps. He had his wallet. He had about $900 in his pocket. He had his keys to his car. It's very suspicious. Someone's going to kill themselves with all that stuff, no suicide note. Just, it's questionable. Let's put it that way. And I don't put anything past anyone anymore. When we learned that, it was very disheartening. They said it was still under investigation. The family asked to see him. They advised not to because of his condition. It looks like he was out there, they said, for several days. And with the storms and everything, that they didn't advise that we see Elder in that condition.
For soldiers inside Tampa right now who maybe have been a victim of abuse, scared, ashamed to come forward, what's your message to them?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're in this situation. And I'm doing everything I can to change this law. I'm doing everything I can to get you protections. And I won't stop fighting for you all for as long as I live. I feel like this is my calling. I feel like no one has stepped up and said, let me fix this. Like Lupe said, you don't see the Army doing this. You don't see the command doing this. I'm doing this for free. It costs me money to do this. But I also believe in God, and I believe in family, and most importantly, I believe in America, and I believe in our soldiers. And if I don't do this, no one will. And it's just going to be another soldier dead, hung, put under cement, missing, floating. It's not fair. That was my sister, brother, or child. I would go nuts. I can't imagine what these families are going through right now. And I'm here to help any way I can. And if it's going to be legislation, the bill is drafted. We're waiting for it to come out of Leg Council. And hopefully by that point, we can introduce it to everyone and we can let everyone take an opportunity to vote on it, because that's what we need. We need this bill to pass.
Have you been able to speak with the Daves today since that phone call yesterday, or has the family been able to speak with them today?
So the detective from the police department where he was found in Temple, Texas, contacted me and gave me some more descriptions of Elder's, how he was found. It was incredibly gruesome, again, and they are going to go into his phone and see what they learn. Today I spoke to, at 10 o'clock a.m., I had a phone call with Senator Elizabeth Warren, with Senator Markey, with Congressman Stephen Lynch, and another congressman was on the phone. I think it was about 6 congressmen and senators on this conference call at 10 a.m. It wasn't their staff, it was the senators and the congressmen themselves. And I told them that enough is enough. This is, obviously these senators and congressmen are from Massachusetts because Elder was from Brockton, Massachusetts. So his community got together, his congressmen and senators, and last night I spoke to Joe Kennedy, congressman again of Massachusetts, and they all promised me that they will do an independent investigation where it will not be with the military. I demanded a congressional investigation. As you know, Elizabeth Warren is on the Senate Armed Services Committee. I asked if they would reach out and work with Senator Jim Inhofe, the chair of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Congressman Joe Kennedy told me that he reached out to Congressman Adam Smith, who is the chairman of the House Armed Services Committee. I'm on this. I'm not going to sleep, and neither will these congressmen and senators until we get this bill passed. Until these families feel like their children are safe when they sign up to the military. Again, these children are not safe going to the military. They take a bullet, but they're there to take a bullet for our country. They're not there to be raped and assaulted and harassed and then told they're lying by their command.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
Like Natalie mentioned about how you trust the military when you feel proud about your child signing up for the military. Just serve the country and protect your family, to protect Americans, the civilians, the residents. But yet, how can you have the trust and the confidence to be so proud of your child if they're not protecting your child, knowing that your child is not safe? Yet you don't have to go to combat to die. You're dying on a military base. And yet, this bracelet says no soldier left behind. Yet they left him behind because they didn't care about his health. They left my sister behind because they didn't care about how she was suffering sexual harassment. They left Fernandes behind, knowing that he suffered sexual assault. Yet they're leaving all these soldiers behind, yet all those soldiers are putting their life on the line. And for what? Because what I know of, they signed to protect and serve the country, not to get sexually harassed, not to be seen as someone's property, not to be seen as a sexual object. And yet they're dying, and yet no one's held accountable. Yet I see forward about the highest sexual harassment, various shootings, various prostitution rings, highest drug use. All of these problems happening on forehead, and yet where's the congressional investigation to investigate what's happening on that base? Yet again, not only myself demand, my family demands, Natalie demands, the whole nation demands for hashtag I am Vanessa Guillen bill to be passed. Because enough is enough. How many times do we have to keep speaking? How many times do we have to see another soldier dead? How many times do we have to see a woman or a man suffer from sexual harassment? ¿Cuántos más debemos que ver que han muerto? ¿Cuántos más deben que sufrir acoso sexual? ¿Cuántos más debemos que encontrar muertos en la base militar o afuera de la base militar? ¿Cuántos más? Basta ya. No nomás yo demando el bill. I am Vanessa Guillen, mi familia, Natalie, la nación demanda que ya pasen ese bill. Porque I know for a fact that the military is that ashamed of themselves. That sexual harassment, sexual assault, abuse, and rape goes too far to murder. And yet they keep denying it over and over again. They keep covering up for each other over and over again. Why? Because they're ashamed of themselves. Because they know for a fact they can do something, but they're not doing anything at all. And that SHARP program has never worked for anyone. 1 to 2 of 3 women and men in the armed forces get raped. That is too much. Too much. And yet, they don't do, the military does nothing. Nothing. And as he mentioned, if there's people, active duty soldiers, men or women, suffering sexual harassment, I know for a fact they're scared to report it, they're scared to speak up, but yet, please tell someone, but you don't have to tell the military. Even me, try to get that out with me because they're worried about their safety. Because if they report it, look what happened to Vanessa, look what happened to Fernandes. How do you want to make change if you're not helping them? And you see the problem does not only reflect on Fort Hood, it reflects how the system has been broken for years and partly for decades. And it reflects on the nation, it reflects how Congress, it reflects on Senate, because if they want to do something to change it, then they have to support the hashtag I am Vanessa Guillen bill. And as Natalie said, if they don't support it, then we will call them out. It doesn't matter who you are, we will call you out. Because that shows that you don't care about a life. This shouldn't be political, but yet it involves the military. This does not involve race, sexuality. It can happen to anyone. It can happen to men or women. Yet this is a human issue. So why is no one fighting for this so hard? Speak up, anyone. Because we need change and we need it now. They say no soldier left behind, yet they're leaving. They left my sister, they left Fernandes. Why? Because of sexual harassment and assault. And then they're leaving him behind because of his health. Yet, how many more must go missing? And all I have to say is that for Fernandes' family, I'm so sorry that the military did nothing for your child, for your brother, for your friend. That I'm so sorry that a 16-year-old like me has to be fighting for them. That a lawyer has to be fighting for them instead of military caring of their own. But I promise you that I will not stop for Vanessa, for Fernandes, and for every other victim. I will not stay quiet because it also shows the matter that happens to anyone. Yet, we demand justice and we demand it now.
Can you tell us about Vanessa, what she was like and why she felt so compelled to serve?
As anyone says that the military brings you opportunities, brings you scholarships, and that you feel so respected by the people, and you feel so honored to serve the military. Well, Vanessa, since she was a little girl around 10 years old, she wanted to join the military. And then when she was 18, she joined. And she graduated. Top 15% of her class played soccer, cross-country, track. Very smart, respectful to anyone. And no, she did not deserve anything, not a single thing that happened to her. And then Fernandes, as his family mentioned him, so smart. polite to anyone. He didn't deserve nothing that happened to him. And it hurts me that because I'm not going to be able to see my sister never again. Why? Because they murdered my sister on a military base. And they did nothing to prevent it. Nothing. They did nothing to prevent Fernandes' death. Nothing. And yet I'm not going to be able to see her never again. My family are not going to be able to see her never again. And just imagine if it's your sister, if it's your friend. Just imagine if it's one of your loved ones. Just put yourself in that position, in my position, in my mother's position, and Fernandes' family position. The anger and the sadness and the frustration they have right now, that we have right now. So the people have to stand up for the military. They have to stand up for the soldiers that put their life on the line. Like someone said, protect our protectors. Yes. Why not doing enough for them? Why?
One last question, anyone? Good? All right, well, I appreciate everyone coming, and I'll keep you updated with anything new that we learn. Thank you.